What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kalispell Warhawk Dynasty. My name is MrHurriicane, and today we have the yearly recruiting special here in the Dynasty. Our next game is a big one against Stanford, but today we're focused solely on recruiting, and the next group of players we hope become future Warhawks that take us into the future. Throughout the series, you have seen recruits created by Blackjack that have helped add another dynamic to this series, and he's done an incredible job. But as I've talked about, his equipment right now with his computer and his Xbox is not allowing him to do the same work this season, so this is solely just generated prospects from inside the game. But I'm telling you, there is a lot to be excited about this season. Now, the big thing about this year is it's the move to the Pac-12. That is just such a big deal. But also keep in mind how far this team has come. And last year we won the Rose Bowl. We were one of the best teams in college football. So now the recruiting landscape for us is totally different. We are now in a conference that prospects will be excited about. We now have the type of team that prospects are excited about. And what that means is that we are now able to recruit a lot more successfully with prospects we were never able to in the past. Over the past few years, I've tried to recruit a lot of 5- and 4-star prospects, and it's been really difficult to have these prospects who want higher pro potential, championship contender, conference prestige, and not be able to fill those requirements. There are so many teams that do, so it's always been tough to compete on that front. This year, a lot of that's changed. We now have a very good setup for recruiting, and that gives us an edge for a lot of the best prospects out there. One more thing, we do have 6 pipeline states. We are at risk of losing Hawaii next year, but here is the map of what we have so far for recruiting, and you'll notice a lot of action over here on the eastern portion of the country, including in some areas we've had trouble recruiting in the past. It's just kind of how things have played out this year. It's really strange, but what I do every year is take a look at the Spark 100 and the top prospects that have interest in Kalispell, and this year has been the most unique. Let's take a look at the board. Some of the top players at their positions now have major interest in the Kalispell Warhawks. We have the number 1 tackle from Montana, Brandon Smith. We're in first place. We have number 36 ranked athlete from Maryland, Ronnie Howard. Marvin Mays, the number 2 ranked cornerback from Texas. Darren Thornton, the number 4 ranked defensive end from Hawaii. We'll dive into some of these scouting reports and everything, but just know that this year, things have really changed as far as recruiting goes. The first player we're going to talk about is the top-rated tackle, one of the best players in the country. It is Brandon Smith, who stands at 6'3", 313. Now this battle is pretty close, but we are in first place right now. He wants to stay close to home, and he wants to play for a championship contender. I have no clue how our program tradition is only at a D. I feel like we should have done enough in the last 5 years to raise it up a lot more than that, but it hasn't. With Smith, we get a very all-around complete offensive tackle. Great pass, run, and impact blocking. He could play from day one, and if he does sign on here, he absolutely will be a day one starter. His strength isn't elite, but everything else is so good, it really doesn't matter that much. And his acceleration is top tier. This is still going to be an ongoing recruiting battle, however. We do have the edge in terms of the bonus, keep that in mind, and I'm giving him max points every week. So we just have to try and build up a lead and hope that the visits with other schools don't go too well. We're going to look to have him visit in week 9. I could go later and get that plus 900 bonus, but it's a bye week, so I can't achieve any of the bonus goals, and I can't get any complimentary, well, I guess I could get complimentary visits, but I like getting them in early when we have these situations. Next up, we have athlete Ronnie Howard, and I love recruiting athletes because they tend to fit a variety of spots. You've seen Tommy Jordan and Glenn Hayes be 2 players that could play offense or defense, and I love that versatility. Howard wants to play for a team from a great conference with a great coach. We have A+ for Leon Daniels, and now after getting some players drafted, pro potential is bumped up. So Ronnie Howard is a 78 overall, and I would look at him playing defensive back, probably at corner, but I guess we could also consider running back, but we just have a lot of depth for that position. His speed is adequate, but not elite. Injury rating, that 84 makes me think that DB is a better fit than the punishing, grueling play at running back. He has very good pursuit, man, zone coverage. Tackling isn't all that great, but a lot of DBs aren't good tacklers. But if he does ever have a chance to return an interception, he should have the moves to get to the end zone. So I'd look at him being a safety / corner and maybe even a kick returner. Notice also he is a +6 gem, so really excited about that. We are battling against USC primarily, but there's a chance we could wrap this all up before the visits even start for UCLA and USC, and I'm hoping we can make that happen. So we're going to schedule him to visit in the Washington State game. It is interesting, though, that the bonus goal is for having a running back rush for over 100 yards. Maybe that's the position he'd prefer to play. This year's secondary, so far through the games that we've played, has really impressed me. I thought that losing 4 starters was going to be a bigger deal than it's been, but they've stepped up and played well. Michael Hunter, Oscar Bryant, and Jamari Akinjide. Now, Marvin Mays, the number 2 ranked corner, has some interest. I like the height at 6'1", 175, and then 93 speed. We have 93 acceleration, 88 zone, 84 man. I mean, we have a tall press corner, and that's exactly what I'm looking for when I go to scout cornerbacks. And as far as this competition goes, it is a pretty tight one. We're in second place right now behind Mississippi State. Georgia's also there. South Carolina could get into the mix. So this one is definitely one of the more uncertain battles that we have. Next up, a player from the state of Hawaii, and I do want to keep them as a pipeline. Darren Thornton, defensive end. He's only 232 pounds at 6'4", so maybe outside linebacker is also a possibility for him. He fits our program extremely well. He has 74 speed, so maybe not an off-ball linebacker. We'll keep him on the line of scrimmage, but 84 block shed, 85 strength. He might be on the smaller side at 232, but if he has that strength like he does, I don't see it being a big problem. We have the power and finesse moves really high. I could see Thornton being a very early impact kind of player. We just have to win a battle against the Washington Huskies. Keeping the theme of defensive players, Vince Donaldson, the number 3 ranked defensive tackle from Nevada. We have a battle against Arkansas and Penn State for him. And Donaldson loves Leon Daniels, the conference, and our championship caliber. With Donaldson, we don't get much speed here. He definitely fits more as a nose tackle with the strength and the power and block shedding being pretty good. His finesse move is also really good. So you can never have too many good defensive linemen. So we're obviously going to go after anybody who has a lot of interest in us and is as highly rated as Donaldson is. Next up, Nick Robinson from El Paso, Texas. He is the number 40 ranked athlete and another 4-star player. With Robinson, we find another player who has very good speed, and I also see him as a defensive back. I think I'd rather have him play safety than corner, but I'm open to either. His press is only 74. I love having a rangy safety like Robinson could be because it allows you a lot more flexibility when you play single high, and I just like having fast defensive backs that can fly around the field. His tackling and hit power would suit him better at safety than corner because safeties tend to have a lot more tackle opportunities, and overall I just think he's another great talent that would be a tremendous boost to our secondary. And for his boost, what does he want? His visit boost would be for... I have to get him a visit here. We'll do this Week 9 game against Oregon, and he wants swatted passes and interceptions, so that all works out for me. I know it's very defense heavy, it's just there's so many 5- and 4-star players that liked us. We're going after pretty much all of them, and they just happen to be defensive players. Daniel Foster up next, an athlete from South Carolina. NC State and Florida are competing with us for him. He's the number 2 ranked athlete. Unfortunately, our boost here isn't all that complete here, with the playing style not helping and no pipeline boost, so we're losing out a little there. With Foster, we have maybe the best man coverage I've ever seen out of a prospect in this game. 94 man, right away as a true freshman. 92 speed, 76 press. He is absolutely a corner. We have a young secondary right now, and there's a chance that if things go well during this recruiting season, that we are set for a long time in the secondary. Another defensive player, middle linebacker James Huggins, and he's from Ohio, which is hands down the toughest state that I've had to recruit from in this series. Ohio has been so difficult, but now James Huggins has some major interest. He's a very rangy linebacker. I think that 79 strength is also pretty good for the position. 76 tackle, 87 hit power. Cover skills aren't all the way there, but you need good run defenders, especially when you're playing against like USC and Stanford. So players like Huggins fit what we need moving forward. Defensive tackle Marcus Jordan is up next. He's from the state of New York. We have players from all around on this draft board. Marcus Jordan, very good power move. I like the strength and the block shedding there as well. High tackle rating. Hey, we have some more offense here. It's just, I'm looking for mainly offensive linemen. We don't need a lot of running backs. Maybe we could use a receiver. We don't need quarterbacks. Don't need tight ends. We just don't need much on the offensive side right now. Brian Newsome is a wide receiver we're targeting, and I expect us to win this recruiting battle. And Newsome will probably be our very first commit this year unless something goes awry. Newsome has 6'1", 197-pound build, and he has adequate speed, great acceleration, route running is on point. The release, catching, and spec catch aren't exactly developed, so he's probably not a year 1 player, but come like year 2, year 3, I think he'd be a really good contributor. And I think he has a similar skill set to Justin Payne on our current roster, who is our slot receiver. Now, most of recruiting so far has been seeing where those high-level prospect battles are going to go. And now what I've started to do is add other players that I haven't already scouted to the board. And a lot of them are still really good. Michael Hurst is one of them. I just scouted him a little bit ago. Only a 180 boost, that's not fantastic. Hurst has adequate speed, good acceleration. He's kind of got that skill set I target on the defensive line, where they're not fully developed, but in a few years they could have a really complete skill set. And then there's a guard, a player I plan to put a lot of points into from the state of Minnesota, JUCO guard Mike Butler. Now, I'm not sure if these SEC teams are going to give me a big problem. They haven't to this point, so maybe we can get into this battle and run away with it. But for Butler, excellent strength and pass block. You can never have too many good offensive linemen, and you know, when you graduate 4 in 1 year, it's hard to be prepared, but getting players like Butler on the roster are how you eventually get prepared. Another tackle I recently scouted is Terry Ingram from Florida, 6'7", 319. He's a 2-star player. And Ingram has good strength, but he's a better run blocker than pass blocker. And with Ingram, there isn't much of a battle going on right now, so I feel pretty good about this one as well. There was another player I had targeted who already committed to Stanford, Brian Johnson from California. And Johnson I thought was a good fit for us, but now I'm going to learn what it's like to recruit with some of the top teams out there. So Stanford wins this battle, a good guard who's a great run blocker, but hopefully we have enough opportunities to go and still get some high-level talent along the offensive line. And I'm hoping that we come away with a lot of these players here in my top 10. I do not expect that we're going to win all these battles, but I think that if we even win half of them or whatever, we're going to be in really good shape going forward. Now that we're in the Pac-12, we need to have better recruits coming in. We can't have the same recruits if we're going to compete with USC, UCLA, and Stanford every year. So this helps us get more prepared after playing in the Mountain West for 7 years. I will continue to update you on these players throughout the season, and I probably should go find a couple more offensive weapons and hopefully a good downfield speed threat, because we're just not very deep there, and outside of Carl Joyce, it's hard to have anybody who can stretch the field like him. I do think that Joyce right now is one of the more irreplaceable players on our team. He fits a specific role, does it really well, and we just can't put another player in there and get the same results as easily. So hopefully he stays healthy, and hopefully it's a great year of recruiting. I know we didn't have Blackjack here to give us the great recruiting special like we're used to, but what is exciting about this year is just the quality of talent that we're now able to recruit and reasonably win. I've scouted players like this in years past, and last year we had battles go down to the wire and we lost at the final moment, essentially, in the regular season. And this year, it seems like we're actually going to win some of these battles, so I'm really excited about that. Let me know in the comments section which of these prospects you think would be the best addition for Kalispell and who would bring the biggest impact, and is there anything about these players that I overlooked, whether it be a strength, a weakness, if they're injury prone, or if they could fit a different role. Let me know in the comments. Here is a look at our team needs, and this is part of why you're not seeing quite as many players on the offensive side on my board right now. I am going after offensive linemen pretty heavily, but we don't have a lot of seniors on the offensive side. We have a core there that's going to be able to develop for a while, and especially getting 4 new offensive linemen this year, it's not really important that we get freshmen that can play a year from now. Defensively, we also have 7 seniors, and the defensive line is really good this year, but they're also very experienced. We have to replace our 2 starting ends next year, and if you can't get pass rush in a conference like this, when you're facing all of these high-level quarterbacks from the state of California, you're going to get torched defensively. So replacing that pass rush is also something really big for next year. I'd also like to give you a rundown of the roster right now and what you can expect kind of in the near future as far as players who could be playing in a year or where needs are going to be. So obviously at quarterback, we are very good there. We have 2 players who should be starting quarterbacks, and we have some capable backups at the same time. At running back, Terrence McKinley is going to graduate after this year along with Troy Lee. But Kyle Thomas, Marty Belafonte, Austin Jenkins, and Marcus Payne. That's a core we can build around. Running back is sadly not something I'm recruiting very heavily this year. At wide receiver, Mike Harris is set to graduate after this season, and so is Jermaine Finley. We have a lot of unknown here at receiver, and we have some players who are red-shirted, but next year it's likely going to be Carl Joyce and then Justin Payne as your primary targets. But what's going to happen down the depth charts? What does help us out there is just our extraordinary tight end situation, having a Mackey Award winner like Hayden John Charles, and then complementing him with Thomas Roberts. For the next 2 years, we are pretty good at tight end, and therefore, I'd say pass catcher as a whole. On the offensive line, obviously we lost a lot a year ago. Josh Thomas is a junior and a 75 overall. Rodney Hall is an 81 overall redshirt sophomore. We have Andy Kolbert, who will graduate this year, but he is the only senior in the entire offensive line group. Mike Hill is a junior. Johnny Cabral, super excited for him to eventually play. He's certainly one player I hope does not transfer away. He has immense potential. Noah Manuwai, and then Derek Johnson, whom I wasn't able to cut. So our depth right now on the offensive line isn't very good. We don't have a lot of players who are just being red-shirted. We have, a couple players, but I like more depth there. We just lost so many in 1 year, and it was unfortunate. We also had Clay Hutchinson transfer, and I'm still salty about that too. And now defensively, Harrison is of course a senior, but Maurice Collins is here to take over next season. He's a freshman and he's playing. He's getting some very valuable experience. We also have Chad Moore who can step in next year. So pass rusher, it's not important to get somebody who can play next year. It's just important to keep building up depth as it is every year. Defensive tackle, Bobby Hill will graduate next year. And then I'd like for our 1-2 punch to become Boogie Turner and Jaquan Cunningham. And that would be really fun, having a great nose tackle and a 3-technique pass rusher, so we can build up this D-line even more so. At linebacker, we have a lot of depth here. I'm not too worried about this position. Here are 3 players who are not even seniors yet. And then at middle linebacker, outside of Hardy, we do have Wesley Merrill, Xavier Bozeman, Jaron Williams. They're all juniors or younger. So we're okay at linebacker for a while. At cornerback, we are going to lose 2 more players this year. So that's one more thing. Like, we lost a lot of defensive backs last year, but we also replaced some of them with at least players who have developed for a while. But then next year, what happens? Hayes is gone. Hunter is gone. Bryant's a senior. And then you have Juno Springs, Justin Garcia. I can't see our corner situation being as good as it is a year from now compared to this. And then at safety, Chris Baker, Tommy Jordan, Jamari Akinjide were super young. It's one of our youngest position groups. Freshman kicker is always nice to have, and then a sophomore punter. Won't be worrying about special teams for a while. Alright, I know it's not as eventful as a lot of the other recruiting specials have been, but I hope you enjoyed today's video. Here is a final look at stats as we are 4 games into the season, and next episode it's a big game against Stanford. We are ranked both in the top 20, very close to one another, and it should be a really good game. I'm expecting a lot of fun. They are probably going to run the football quite a bit on us. It'll be a great test for our defense. And at the same time, just continuing to play these Pac-12 defenses and getting used to how fast they are and how disruptive they can be. It should be a really good game, and I can't wait for it. I'll see you all then here in the Kalispell Dynasty. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, and let me know down below your favorite prospects from this episode. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.